ATP family, welcome back to AndreThePodcast. Now, you've probably noticed it. One day it's blazing hot. The next it feels a little cooler. We call it false fall. You know, that tricky time of year when summer isn't quite gone, but fall keeps peeking in. And for a lot of us, it comes with sneezing, congestion, or feeling run down for weeks. On today's show, we're breaking down why this happens and what you can do to feel better. Now let's break it down. What's happening outside? What's happening right now is what's called false fall. Listen to that. False fall. On Monday, September 22nd, was declared the first official day of fall. Here is what false fall is. False fall is when big temperature swings occur, shifting humidity, and even sudden rain. These swings stress your body's defenses and stir up environmental triggers. Now, you may be wondering, what are some of the key culprits? Well, we're going to break it down for you right now. Some of the key culprits include ragweed pollen, which is a late summer ragweed that can travel for miles. Mold spores, damp leaves and decaying plants that release spores. And dust mites. Dust mites can come from doors and windows opening and closing, which let in the allergies indoors, which circulate, of course, indoor allergies. Okay. Why does it last so long? That's the next big question that many of us are asking. And the confusion between allergies versus colds. That's pretty confusing. Let's break it down though. Colds can usually clear between 7 to 10 days at a time. Allergies, on the other hand, stick around as long as you're exposed, which that makes sense. Itchy eyes, clear runny nose equals more likely allergies, honestly. Just putting that together, that would equal more allergies. Fever and body aches, however, would equal more likely of a virus being in your body. And let's face it, none of us want the allergies or the virus, but I think many of us would take the allergies versus the virus. Immune stress. Rapid weather changes from dry to, let's just face it, those changes can lead to dry or irritating nasal passages, making it easier for viruses to sneak into your body. Indoor time increases as night cools, so viruses can spread even more easily. Climate change. Longer, warm seasons mean ragweed and mold hang around for weeks longer than they used to, which I think is a big talker. We're talking about climate change, and it's difficult to hear, and it can be confusing, but it's important to talk about. Now, let's move on. Quick relief and prevention. What are some practical steps to keep symptoms from dragging on? That's the big question. The big question that everybody, and I do mean everybody that at least I've talked to, who's been going through it just like me, has been asking. Let's continue to break it down and dissect it piece by piece. Let's get started. Number 1, tracking pollen counts. Check your local weather app before opening windows. And I say local weather app because, let's face it, some of these pre-installed weather apps that come on an Apple or an Android aren't always the most accurate because they're having to forecast the weather for not just cities and states in the United States, but even the world. So I recommend, and I'm a little biased being a journalist and having worked in a newsroom and working with meteorologists, would suggest you download, at least here in the city of Memphis, you have 4 options to choose from. A local station's weather app, because meteorologists are forecasting that just for us and what's happening where we are, hourly. And it's typically accurate. Typically very accurate. And trust me, I would know. Let's keep going. 2. Close windows and change filters. Use air purifiers or HVAC with clean filters. I know at my house, we change filters pretty regularly, so I think that's very helpful as well. Let's move on. 3. Rinse off after being outdoors rather. Shower, change your clothes, and wash your bedding weekly. Now, I shower and change clothes typically when I come from being outdoors. And I'm not really outdoors a lot these days either. This new job allows me to stay indoors a lot more. And with the way I get sick, I just try to stay indoors as much as I can anyway. So that works out for me. Let's keep going though, because that may not be the case. And don't forget to wash your bedding weekly if you can. All right, start meds early. That's 4. Antihistamines or nasal sprays work best if used before the symptoms peak. So let's say you know that the weather's shifting and changing. Maybe try to start a little bit before. I know this time around I messed up and didn't, but since things have kind of gotten crazy and then I've started to feel better, I've tried to stay on track of taking my allergy medicines that keep me together so that I can bring you a show each week. Because otherwise, you probably wouldn't be hearing me. All right, let's move on to the next one. Number 5, control humidity. Aim for 30 to 50% to keep dust mites and mold in check. I didn't know that, so I'm learning along with all of you as well. And number 6, support immunity. Sleep, hydrate, and keep vitamin D levels up as daylight shortens. And let's face it, we're getting to the point where it's starting to get darker at 7:30, 8 o'clock. So I would start that now if you haven't already. But we're not done yet. There's still more to think about. And in this final check-in, we're going to talk about what else you can do, especially if you're doing all of these things or doing a majority of these things and nothing is changing, nothing is getting better, and you are at the point where you're very frustrated and irritated because you just want to feel better and feel relief. I get it. I've been there. I was sick for 2 weeks at a time or for more than a week, and it ended up going into 2 weeks, and it was crazy. It was a mess. So let me explain this for you. When you get checked by your doctor, you should get checked by your doctor. I just came back from my own doctor yesterday on Monday, as this is being taped and recorded on a Tuesday afternoon. See a doctor. See a doctor if your symptoms last more than 2 weeks with no relief. Now, I almost contemplated doing that because it seemed like the first week I was going through it. The second week I was going through it. By the end of that second week, I was starting to feel relief. So I didn't panic. But I was getting there. I was getting there because those who know me and allergies don't get along very well. But I started to feel better. My nose still runs here and there. My throat might get a little scratchy here and there. But for the most part, things are mainly under control. If you have a high fever or you have difficulty breathing or if you have severe sinus pain, that's definitely a red flag to go see a doctor as well. Let's note this. These can be signals for infection or flare-ups, asthma flare-ups, not just seasonal allergies. Yikes, I know. Just probably hearing that makes a lot of you think, it's that time of the year. I know. I don't like it either. And spring will be here before you know it in March. And I'll say the one thing I am grateful for is that I'm not as outside as much as I once was. But anyway, those are some helpful tips that you should think about. Also, do your own research. If you know you have something going on that you might need to kind of break down and piece together to figure out what you might have or how it might affect you or how to get better, do your research, consult your doctor, and just take care of yourself the best way you can. Supplement, take vitamins, have your allergy medicine. It'll be helpful. It really will. So I'll say this in closing. If you've been blaming the change in weather on a lingering cold, which I briefly did myself, it might be false fall. And let's face it, it really isn't a might be. It's false fall. Meteorologists have been saying it for a couple of weeks now, especially as we've entered fall. It's false fall, and it's working against us. So just remember, it's just false fall working against you. Watch for pollen, treat your allergies early, and give your immune system a fighting chance. I know I am. So yeah, that's some helpful tips that I thought I would share with all of you because I've been going through it and it's not fun. But anyway, that's our show for today. As always, thanks for listening and supporting Andre the Podcast. Stay healthy, stay safe, be blessed, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the show. Make sure you subscribe and continue to support the show and the Alive Podcast Network. Again, you can subscribe for just $9.99, and I appreciate all of you who are continuing to support. Also, don't forget to check out all things ATP in our bio. We have a new bio and our link tree, which is in all of our bios now. So click that and everything is there. Our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, my personal Instagram, you can follow that. We have our merch shop. You can subscribe to Alive, whether you have Apple or Android. All of that's there. Apple Podcast, all of that is right there. And our YouTube channel, everything's right there. So I know a lot of people were saying they couldn't find everything. Everything is right there in one link. So tap that Linktree link. And of course, as always, until next time, keep learning, keep growing, keep walking in truth. And of course, as always, be blessed. And we'll see you next time.